good morning or afternoon. And Skip, would you like to, I'm assuming everyone knows you, but you've been in your position now for a while, and just want to introduce that, how things are going. Then you can spring into your pitch for today.
I appreciate you folks having me. I've been with the authority since about 1.5 years. I've been executive director since January 1st of last year, and things in general are going very, very well. Again, thanks for having me, and I'll just jump right into what I wanted to update you folks with, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Do you want to share the screen, Skip, with the slides that you have, or do you want me to put those
No,
up?
I don't have slides. I just have that outline that I gave you.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring it up? That help you to follow?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
You folks have it?
Yeah. Just didn't know if you wanted to have it up on there.
That'll work if it works for you, Jamie.
What's that?
That'll work fine if you folks have it. I'll just look at what I have here.
Okay.
As far as current operations, our volumes for last year were about 128,000 tons, a bit lower than previous years, but we attribute a big chunk of that to the pandemic. It's interesting, we saw fluctuations in different types of waste. March, April, May, and some of June, when there were shutdowns, we saw industrial waste, construction demolition waste, and commercial waste really drop off. But conversely, we saw residential waste grow because everybody was at home making a little bit more waste. As far as recycling goes, we continue to have our recycling drop-off facility. We've seen some growth in that this year because Lebanon City and Union Township have kind of limited the access to just their residents for their 2 drop-offs. So we saw about a 25% increase in tons that we recycle, up to almost 300 tons of recycled material last year. I have some other facts there in the recycling. The one that I think merits the most mention is the 527 homes where we did what we call door side household hazardous waste pickup. It's a program that was implemented a long time ago. It's costly, but yet much less expensive than a remediation project, or much less expensive than some of the other counties in Pennsylvania that have permanent drop-off facilities. Our gas to energy facility, you folks I believe are all familiar with, continues to operate, generating enough power for 2,300 to 2,500 homes. And the other side from that is that we get carbon credits. We have a permit, an air permit to release so much methane, but because we're collecting it all, we get credits, and we actually sell those credits on the open market. Last year, we made about $37,000 doing that, and it's a double benefit. We're collecting and making energy, and we're selling the carbon credits. So it helps us out in 2 directions, so to speak.
Hey, Skip, before you go further, Skip, can you go back to the hazardous waste pickup?
Sure.
Heard you say something about it's costly, but it's like $15, isn't it?
It's each citizen pays $15. We pay, I believe, $115 for each one of those pickups.
Wow.
So we
Okay, that's where
subsidize
the
it.
costly part is. Okay.
Yeah, and we
So
just
I didn't
went
want
out
to scare.
doing that.
Yeah, I didn't want to scare people off, but it's because I felt it was $15. Yeah.
It's only $15 to
Wow.
residents of Lebanon County. We subsidize the rest of it. The authority subsidizes the rest of it.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for clarifying. Thank you.
You folks are all familiar with and have approved the county plan. You know that last year, Amy and Larry Taylor did an awful lot of work on that plan. You folks approved it back in October or September of last year, and DEP actually approved it in January. So we now have a county plan in place to take us from 2020 to 2030. And the highlights of that plan are waste diversion. One of the materials that we want to look at separating in the near term here is polystyrene or styrofoam. We're seeing an awful lot of styrofoam come into our facility from warehouses and repackaging facilities. And if we could find a way to recycle that, and Amy's been researching it, that might be a real benefit. The other things on those list, a materials recovery facility, continue our educational programs, emergency disposal plans. We have emergency disposal plans in place. Perfect example is during the pandemic, we didn't miss a day. We managed the waste in Lebanon County. We did backpedal a little bit on how much recyclables we accepted, and that's part of the plan that we need to address in the near-term future. The other thing I wanted to mention is our compliance and enforcement efforts have to do with open burning and litter and things like that. We continue to work with all the municipalities, the city, the county, addressing issues as they arise. We've had probably 5 or 6 burning complaints so far this year, and we try and resolve each one of those as they occur. One of the successes we had last year that I think merits mention is a tire pile at a farm in Annville. There was a large tire pile, and the Stiegel family that's associated with Stanella, Stiegel, and Mazer, an accounting firm in the county, owned that property. And when I talked to them about it, they just resolved the issue. They went in there, they cleaned up the tire pile at their expense. It was put there by a previous owner. They reseeded, cleaned up the whole area, and really did a bang up job. And that just kind of goes to show that's the kind of land stewardship that Lebanon County has, and we need to continue. It's just a very, very good thing. I wanted to talk a little bit about our remaining capacity. That's very important to us. We have our current landfill, and as you may know, we just got approval from the department for our expansion, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But as of January 1st, we have 2.8 years of capacity left in the old landfill, and basically what that gives us is just enough time to design and construct the expansion, and the expansion will occur across the street, across Russel Road on the old section of the landfill. Landfill expansion is a relatively large project. We will be doing, we've subcategorized it into 3 or 4 different projects, but we're relocating our electronic waste facility. So if you folks have used that in the past, it's going to be relocated about a 1/4 mile down the road. A little bit bigger, a little bit better, hopefully some easier in and out for everyone that uses the facility. We also have to relocate about just shy of 100,000 cubic yards of waste from the old landfill and put that into the existing landfill. And that project's underway right now. And I'm pleased to say it's going very, very well. We haven't had many issues at all. We use the landfill gas for energy. But if the landfill gas to energy plant goes down, we have a backup flare. Our flare is in the footprint of the future landfill, so it has to be relocated. That contract is also underway. The flare has actually been moved, and we have a backup temporary flare in place, ready to go while we plumb and hook up all the electrical and test the flare in its new location. And finally, the last thing is construction of the new landfill, where we just received the 60% design drawings. We're in the middle of reviewing them right now. And that contract for that project should be let sometime in August or September. And then we'll have construction for the next, give or take, 18 months. To fund all of that, we have a large refinancing going on right now. We just let out a request for proposal to about 20 banks. We're anxious to get that information back. It'll come in the middle of April. And once we get the bank proposals, we will then give that to a local bonding agency here in Lebanon County. And they will give us a kind of a, we think we can beat that, or we can't beat that. You folks are headed down the right path. And then we'll make a decision whether we award one of those proposals from the banks, or we go through the bonding to borrow the funds that we need for the expansion. We expect to borrow somewhere between $8 and $10 million. I'm hopeful it's on the 8 side, but time will tell depending on the bids that we get here in August and how the rest of the construction goes. The schedule for that is that we'll get the proposals in, we'll make our assessment, and our board of directors will authorize that debt at the May board meeting, and we'll proceed from there. So overall, I think we're in pretty good shape. Things are going well. If you folks have questions, concerns, I'd love to hear them.
Commissioner Litz.
Yes, Skip, it's nice that I get to talk to you in person. I don't know your personal policies and procedures, or if these were policies and procedures from previous directors. So in the past, I've done a lot of cleanups of litter along the Swatara Creek and participate in the PennDOT Road highway cleanups and things like that. What we found is that sometimes people find a secluded spot and dump their garbage down over the bank on the edge of the Swatara Creek. And I had a lady call me years ago, and I don't remember if it was Mike Pavlik, or I think it was him, or Larry Taylor. One of them went out and they investigated. They actually dug through the garbage, found envelopes of the names of people who may have deposited it there or know who did. And they went to the homes, talked to them, got the issues resolved, and made them pay for the cleanup. And some may have gotten fined if they were uncooperative. I don't remember all the details. So I use that as an example. Someone called me again recently with a similar story, and I told them to call you. Do you still do that sort of thing, or was that past practice?
No, we still do that. As odd as it sounds, us garbage men like digging through the trash looking for envelopes and addresses.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure I didn't guide the person wrong. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I just did go out to a site recently on Fredericksburg Road. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find much at the time, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Jamie.
You have just noted in what you were talking about relocating the flare. And I don't remember what it's the flare for the gas coming off of the landfill that doesn't get used through the gas to energy. and I don't remember the name you told me what it is, but it's a hidden flare. It's not a visible flare that you're installing, which is an interesting concept. I'm not sure is that, I know there's a flare at the propane tanks near where I live, and it's a visible flare, and sometimes it's a 15-foot flare, and it's very bright and, shines off of the neighbors' houses, and so the light. Is that an issue that you're dealing with by doing that, or is it a safety issue, or is it a number of them? And I wasn't aware that they exist.
Yeah, our flare is what's called an enclosed flare. It's basically a 40-foot metal barrel. I think it's 8.5 feet in diameter. The fire's at the bottom, and you can't see the flame as it's burning. Our backup flare that we have in place right now is a candlestick flare, that's what you can see burning. It's a nice name for it. It's actually, you just see open flame.
Yeah. Does it give you more safety, or is it just easier to manage? What are the advantages to the?
It's driven by the department, DEP.
Okay.
And there's very, very few landfills that have candlestick flares. I don't believe we could get a candlestick flare permitted at this time. We were able to get it approved for temporary use as we relocated our enclosed flare.
Okay. So then it's a typical thing. This isn't something you're doing that's unusual or, cutting edge or something. Okay.
Every landfill in Pennsylvania has a flare, an enclosed flare.
Enclosed flare. All right. Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Skip? I just want to say, as a user, Skip, I'm very pleased with the operation down there, both on the electronic return side and the the whole operation is very very smooth and very professional, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your help. Was it 2 weeks ago when you were out and helped us rescue somebody, so to speak?
Yeah, that was about 2 weeks. Yeah.
That's what he does. That's what he does. Yeah. Puts on his harness and carabiners, and he jumps into these dumpsters and saves people.
My cape. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
The
dumpster queen or king or whatever, huh? Yeah.
the electronics recycling, that's being relocated as part of this whole project. I think you may have already even taken the building down where it existed or soon to be. Where is that going to go in relation to where it is?
If you're coming from Highlandale Road from 72, it will be moved about a quarter of a mile down the road. It'll be close to the entrance to the gun club, if you're familiar with where that is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually going to be moved outside of our permit footprint, and I believe that's North Annville Township.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Phillips. That's a good program. It's still, the rule is pretty much anything with a cord. Is that right?
Pretty much, and
I guess wireless things are probably accepted now too, huh?
yes, some things, phones and things like that. The interesting thing is we continue to get a truckload of TVs about every week. It's mind-boggling.
How big of a truck?
A tractor trailer.
Wow.
We package and ship a tractor trailer load, almost a tractor trailer load every week of TVs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are they flat screens, or are they real old ones?
All the way across the board, all the way from the big consoles that our grandparents had to flat screens that I still think look better than the one I have.
My grandparents didn't have TV.
Okay.
I don't think mine did either. I can remember when my dad got one. That was a big deal.
Anybody want to touch those age jokes?
I'm sitting back on
I
that
didn't
one.
think Commissioner Litz was as old as me. Oh my God, that's amazing. She still looks good for her age, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I'm not going to get involved, so that's it.
No, you stay
Anything
clean.
else?
You stay clean on this, yeah.
Okay, any other things to cover today, Skip, or with anyone
No,
else?
that's everything. If you folks have questions or comments later or need any information, please give me a shout. We'll do what we can to get you what you need.
I want to clear the air. I'm not as old as Commissioner Ames. My grandparents lived in the hills of West Virginia, and they did
Oh.
not have TV.
I'm not gonna comment on that, I'll tell you.
I had to go through a creek and up to the cow pasture to get to
Oh.
their house, which was surrounded by a little fence. And I used to have to go to the outhouse, and I'd go down the path to the chicken coop and collect the eggs. And below that, there was a pig pen, and that's where you threw the scraps.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm not as old as you. I just had a different experience.
Okay.
They didn't have landfill, they gave it to the pigs.
That's right. They recycled it.
All right. Thank you, Skip, and continued success down there.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, good job.
Thank
Skip.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you giving us an update.